Okay, well, hello everyone. This is Fred Gashi. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at RKLE Solutions. Today we are going to have a 30-minute overview of Sage 100 Contractor. It'll be a brief overview. If you want to have a more detailed online demo, we can definitely do that. You can schedule that through me. Now I'm going to turn it over to Julie Allen, who's a Sage Certified Consultant and Implementation Specialist, and she will take it from here. Julie?
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say welcome to Sage 100 Contractor. What you are seeing on your screen right now is a home and resources. In Sage 100 Contractor, each individual user will have the opportunity to customize their desktop of the tasks being performed. For instance, how to do accounts payable, how to enter your jobs, do your receivables, subcontracts, and purchase orders, how to enter payroll, and of course, financial information. I'm going to start out by clicking on this icon that has all the information regarding a job. So from here, you will be able to see all of the documentation and information associated with your jobs in progress. You would have your job name, and we have statuses in Sage 100 Contractor. If you choose to do some additional modules, for instance, estimating, you could actually set up the job and start doing a bid status through Sage 100 Contractor. This would allow you to incur your pre-construction costs, costs for plan reproduction, and moving forward, once you get a letter of intent, you would change the status to be a contract. At that time, you can also attach a copy of that letter of intent to this job record. If you do not get the project, you would move this to a refused status and move those costs below the line out of the direct expenses for your projects. Once you get the executed contract, change the status to current. Attach a copy of the executed contract to this record. You're going to notice in Sage there's multiple icons. There's also a little icon where you can put notes associated with a project. If it's certified payroll, if it's union, if there's a bond that needs to be required for this project, you can put little notes and save those little sticky notes on your desk from accumulating. You will also be assigning the client number to this job. This will be for billing purposes, doing progress billings, AIA G702, G703s. All of this information will populate on those formats. This would be the job site app information where the job is being performed. If you need to accrue sales tax on your revenue, we have sales tax districts that we can set up in the system as well, based off of your state, county, city, and if you have any sales tax districts outside of the normal state, county, and city. Payroll locales. This would be if you perform work in multiple states. We can accrue that state payroll taxes for employees that might be out of their own jurisdictions for long periods of time, where you do have to accrue those payroll taxes. Income account and departments. This is what will drive your income statement. So upon posting an accounts receivable invoice, it will automatically hit your P&L for revenue and accrue the asset for receiving those payments. If you choose, we have the opportunity to have departmental income statements. That could be based off of multiple states that you work in, or each department would be a state, which would allow your CPAs to easily see your revenue and costs of goods sold by state. Other clients might want to see how their commercial versus their residential departments are doing. So it's all for reporting purposes. We have due terms, which a good default is 30 days. This is what drives your accounts receivable aging. Retention. We can hold retention as well in a project. It is held in a non-aging column on your accounts receivable aging. So if you're going for a bond or a borrowing base for a project, some of those 91 plus days on your aging are disallowed and written off. In Sage 100 Contractor, this allows your retention to be a true asset on your balance sheet. If you have a client PO or contract, this would be populated onto any documentation you need to send to your client. The contract amount will be the original contract amount. In Sage 100 Contractor, we can track change orders. So from this main job screen with your original contract amount, we would be able to create change orders not only for your prime change to your client's contract, whether it's an add or deduct, but you can also see a budget change as well or a subcontract change. You can also assign multiple employees to your jobs so that you can pull reports to see how those employees' jobs are performing at year end. And if needed, you can have the architect. This field will pull into your AIA documentation showing the architect on the project. Project dates and sales information. When your plans have been received, if you're going to be estimating out a Sage 100 Contractor, when the bid's completed, contract signed, project start and project completed are very important. This also drives in Sage 100 Contractor, we have an over/under billing or WIP schedule that is based off of current projects and jobs that are completed during the year. Okay, I'm going to go back now and kind of show you some other information. If you're doing certified payroll or union, you will want to select this require certified payroll reporting. Sage also will create certified payroll reports and union reports if applicable to your company. In Sage, the most important things are your budgets. The delta between your contract amount with your client and the estimated costs of your project is the estimated profitability in Sage 100 Contractor. Some of the key components are cost codes. In each cost code, we have your 5 standard cost types for material, labor, equipment, subcontract, and other costs of construction. This will also show you at the little hard hat icon any changes to your budgets as well. Next, purchase orders. We are able to track purchase orders to your material suppliers. It's important to keep purchase orders and subcontracts separated. There's reasons behind this when you're doing year-end audits, general liability audits, workers' compensation audits. For material suppliers, of course, you can have a purchase order. In Sage, you can actually drill down and you can see what that purchase order is for and if it has been received in full. The same theory will go for subcontracts. Again, you would be able to drill down, see the subcontract, see if there's any invoices that have been associated with that contract. Again, all at the click of the job hard hat icon. Again, back to the purchase orders versus subcontracts. We are able to create a report with a date range with a cost type of 4 for subcontract for that audit period. A lot of auditors like to exclude any subcontracted payments to the subcontracts from your audits for workers' comp and again, general liability. Change orders, as we talked a little bit ago, we have the contract amount and the change orders. In here, we have 2 tabs. We have your prime change and a budget change. On this case, this was an internal budget adjustment. This would allow you to also move money from contingency to another cost code to cover expenses if it exceeds the budgeted line item. You can also put in here the prime change. So for instance, if we put in here $1,000 estimated, requested, and approved, you're going to notice that you'll be able to see the approved profit and the estimated gross margin of this change order based off of what you're billing your client versus your costs. Sage 100 Contractor is a full construction management accounting package. So not only does it do the accounting, but it will also do all of your project management as well. Accounts receivable invoices, you will be able to see all of your progress billings or T&M, or if you have those one-off jobs that you're just billing a lump sum for a one-time, it will track this all at the job level. And again, hold retention in a non-aging column. Make this a little bigger. We also have a contract summary to show you your original contract, any changes if applicable, for your new contract, what's been invoiced, balance on the contract, again, the retained and the amount due. Last but not least, we have accounts payable invoices. Again, every AP invoice associated with that job is available from that hard hat icon. So any of your accounts payable, again, with accounts payable, retainage is held automatically on an invoice so that it will be held as a liability to be paid. This also helps when you're closing out a project. You'll be able to look and say, okay, we've received our retention from the client. How much do we have to pay out of that retention to our subs and vendors? Okay, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of some project management reports. Most important things in Sage 100 Contractor is tracking your costs. We have a cost report that will have, again, your original budget and any change orders associated with the budget to give you your new budget items. As you start entering costs for accounts payable, posting payroll, it will create the percentage of completion. This was something I would sit down with my project management every month and we would go, okay, why is this 105% complete? Could have been coded to the wrong cost code? Could it have been estimated incorrectly, prompting you to move money from contingency to cover these costs? Or did we estimate this project a little off? Again, it will give you the total of completion of that project and what the balance remaining of your costs to be incurred. Job cost journal. This is something that a lot of the project managements absolutely love. And it's going to be based off of cost codes. And I'm going to show you just one job. I'm going to do the whole duration so that you can see how much detail you can get on a project. Based off each cost code, you'll have every single employee, a cost type of 2 for labor, will give you for each cost code. Once you start getting down into the main part of the project, you'll be able to see every vendor, every employee, every subcontract associated with this project by cost code. Again, this will tie in to your budget to tell you the percentage of completion of those line items. And at the end, gives you the total of your costs throughout the whole duration. You can also do a selection of dates. So if you want to do it for 1 month to make sure that you are encompassing all of the costs so you can bill your client to make sure you will be receiving enough funds to cover not only the costs, but your profit and overhead and administrative fees. We have a ton of reports in Sage 100 Contractor. Once you find reports that you like, you can actually create a shortcut to your desktop for any reports. A lot of my clients standardize the reports that they want their PMs to use, and they save them to the desktops. I'm going to go into some accounts receivable right now. Entering the jobs, of course, we've already reviewed, but progress billings. In Sage 100 Contractor, we have a built-in schedule of values. Where would you have, you could either bill by cost code, you could bill by description, or if you choose to do so, you can bill by bid items. This would be your scheduled values. If there was any changes, to change your contract amount, the previous completed, the current completed, and if retention is held, it will automatically hold retention for you upon posting of this invoice. Sage also has a built-in progress billing feature by description, and it comes with just a basic format. But from here, you can create a progress billing and the schedule of values for your projects. Now, a lot of clients like to see more detail. I have been known to customize this to have a notary seal. Maybe you need to have architect signatures on here. I can also have it so that you can track change orders. I'm just going to show you a sample really quick so that you can see the difference between the two. This would be tracking the application number, because if there were change orders associated with a project, we could track them as additions and deductions for approved in previous months, current months, and the total changes. And again, here we have the notary seal, certificate for payment, and your schedule of values. You can email out of the system. So for instance, if you are putting together a subcontract, you can actually create a subcontract in Sage 100 Contractor from this grid, the job, the vendor, the subcontract number, and what they will be performing. Subcontract date. And again, in the description in the grid, what they're doing, the cost code, cost type of 4 for subcontract, and the amount of the contract. If you have a subcontractor that might perform multiple tasks based off the cost codes, you can have that as well. A lot of times your subcontractors would submit a progress billing with their billing amount to you for the projects that you're managing. We can mirror their schedule of values as well in Sage 100 Contractor. These icons up here, again, is save. This would be an automatic and save and print the record. This is a new record. Recall is going to be your best friend when you're doing progress billings. Again, the attachment to attach a copy of the executed subcontract and any notes. Once you go to the printer, it opens up more icons. Sage allows you to export to Excel, Word, a PDF, and you can email out of the system. So you can either go to Outlook, or if you have a Gmail or other items, your IT would map this to Sage 100 Contractor for you to email out of the system. Again, there's multiple formats for subcontracts and purchase orders. I'm going to skip to payroll. Payroll is one of the most important things. Even if you have a third-party payroll company, you're still going to want to mirror payroll in Sage 100 Contractor to encompass the employer cost of burden for the Social Security, the Medicare match, FUTA, SUTA. If you have a 401k employer contribution, if you offer health insurance contributions to your employees, prevailing wage benefits, and union benefits, if applicable, is a true cost of having your employee work for you. Upon posting of payroll, Sage will post to the appropriate groups based off of pay positions. So, for instance, you could have your owner officer, if job related, it will automatically post to the cost of goods sold for labor for that project. If you own equipment, we also have an additional module that will track your equipment for you. Other wages upon posting, if non-job related for owner salaries, could go to the admin range of the general ledger structure. You could have your controllers and bookkeepers also go to another administrative GL. For a supervisor, let's say that the supervisor has to go to OSHA training, whether it's OSHA 10 or OSHA 30. You really can't charge the job, so it will automatically go to an overhead labor expense on your GL for your P&L. And it's also used as indirect expenses for your guys in the field to track non-job time. Workers' compensation. We have workers' compensation tables built in. Again, workers' comp is an employer cost associated with an employee. We can track per workers' comp classification. For instance, 8810 is the most common for clerical, based off of the percentage per $100 earned. Again, upon posting of payroll, it will hit your expense and accrue the liability for payment. If applicable, I don't have a lot of clients that do this, you could track your general liability and your experience mod rate as well. Pay calculations. This is what maps all of the employees' payroll to the various general ledger accounts upon posting of the payroll records. Of course, you have your employee portions. It will accrue to a liability account to pay your taxes out of. The employer portion, as you notice, will map to the job direct labor expense for payroll taxes, shop, overhead, and admin automatically expense those costs, and again, accrue the credit for liability of those payments. Setting up for prevailing wage and for unions is another seminar to go over how extensive this is to set up. But we do accommodate both prevailing wage and union benefit reporting. Entering payroll records, again, is very simplistic. You would have your employee, the period start, period end, check date. We do have the capability of producing NACHA files to send to your bank for direct deposit payments for your employees. There are certain formats that banks need to map to, which we can confirm that we can comply to the banking regulations for your NACHA file. Again, typing in the time cards each day. If you need to do the union or payroll, certified payroll reporting, you would be entering the time by day for the job, locale if it's out of the state of that employee's, the cost code of the work being performed, and the pay type. I'm going to just touch bases briefly on this. If it is a union employee or a prevailing wage, we have pay groups that we set up that has not only the pay rate, but we would attach the benefits associated to a pay group. If it's prevailing wage, it would be a dollar amount per hour to add. If it's union, it would be all of the various benefits, health and welfare, vacation, pension, anything associated with the union. Okay, computing payroll is very easy. And in Sage 100 Contractor, there's a third-party built-in program called Atrix. It is a minimal annual fee based off of how many employees you have, but it will allow you to make your EFTPS payments. It will allow you to do your 941 quarterly reports, your SUTA reports, any local pay reports, and any special reporting based off of the state's requirements. We have security groups. This will allow you to have users in Sage, but we would have security groups set up that will allow only certain groups to see certain areas of Sage. For instance, payroll. You would restrict estimators and project managers from seeing the payroll module. You would also want to restrict them from seeing any general ledger or accounting reports. The accounting reports in Sage are very nice and clean. You have the opportunity to choose between a 4-digit general ledger structure and a 5-digit general ledger structure. There's a strict structure that needs to be adhered to based off of the way Sage posts to the various areas of Sage. For instance, your balance sheet. We would have your current assets. Again, you have the opportunity to have a 4-digit or a 5-digit. A lot of my clients coming from QuickBooks or American Contractor or Timberline prefer the 5-digit, which is more similar to their platform. We have the current assets range, long-term. We can track depreciation. Other assets, current liabilities. We can track credit cards in Sage as well. Again, sales tax payable, the child support payable, food of payables, line of credits. We can also track loans, whether it's heavy equipment. The heavy equipment would be associated with the add-on equipment module. Or vehicles. We can also have sub-accounts to keep your balance sheet clean. So for instance, if you had multiple vehicle loans, we would have a sub-account for each loan to roll up to one standard GL account. You can print reports for all the sub-account balances as well, which helps at year end when you're proving your balance sheet items to your CPA, so that you can make sure that your principal balances tie to the vehicle loan general ledger account. Again, capital stock, retained earnings for the equity, and the current profit and loss. Income statements. We have a departmental income statement built in that could do, I really like this one because it'll show you your current period and your year to date along with the percentages, so that it'll tell you your percentage of your direct expense, your cost of goods sold versus your income. If you have equipment, again, the equipment module is an added benefit. We can track your equipment usage as well. Overhead expense, rent, all of your standard overhead. Again, as you notice, payroll has all of the GLs broken down by cost of goods sold, overhead, and administration, giving you your total period to date and year to date income.